Hello, I'm Ryan from Studio 801. Today we're going to be taking a look at the All-Boss bass pedal board. So first off here in the loop we have a chromatic tuner pedal and then a noise suppressor, which has the sends going through the synthesizer pedal, bass overdrive, and distortion. And then after that we have a compressor pedal for bass, and that goes into this loop pedal, which has a dual foot switch here so that I can change the track. Look at the number on the screen. So that goes back and forth. And then I can use the main pedal itself to stop and play and record on that track, which you'll see later. And then I have this going into a DI box, which goes in the bass amp. On the input side here, I have another DI box that also goes into the mixer and then goes into this pedal board. So on the mixer, see, I got the X32 app on this iPad here. There's two bass channels. That's the same bass guitar. Bass guitar 1 is before the pedals and bass guitar 2 is after. So this way in front of house, we can mix both channels. So on bass guitar 1, which I mostly use for tone and obviously a clean sound. Don't have anything specific going on here, you know, just typical gain, dynamics, EQ. And then on bass 2, this is supposed to be phase inverted, so that when you put the two channels together, they don't conflict with each other since they're playing the same thing, essentially, with just some added effects and stuff. Dynamics, EQ, basically the same. All right, let's try out this pedal board and see what it sounds like. So of course we have our pedal board, which mutes everything going through the bass 2 channel. Bass 1 is still audible. But we turn that off, now you can hear that, and you can also hear it through the bass amp. So that's a good clean tone. We've got a good compressor here. Maybe turn that up just a little bit. Turn the ratio down just slightly. Turn the threshold down. Kind of hear the difference here. Threshold down all the way. It's a very cut-off sound. If I were using this on its own, I would probably want the threshold a little bit lower. But since I am going through the console, I want the front-of-house compression to do a little bit more. So I only want this attenuated just a little bit. Relatively low ratio. If I turn the ratio up, hear what that sounds like. Ratio up all the way, threshold down all the way. Put this back to kind of how I had it. Noise suppressor, that's pretty obvious. Really helps when you use the overdrive, because you can hear without it. It's pretty noisy. But with it on, see, I think I might have like a little too much going on here. Turn the gain down slightly, turn the balance a little bit to dry. See this balance switch, you got completely clean or maximum overdrive presence. I usually like to keep it in the center. Turn the gain down just a little bit, maybe turn the balance a little bit to dry. I usually keep the low end in the center here, because that'll keep it mostly what it sounds like without. Now the high end is usually what I like to tweak. If I turn that up all the way, so yeah, maximum high. Honestly, I feel like if you want more distortion, you should try going for the highs first, as opposed to just turning the gain and the balance up all the way, because then it just sounds like it's way too much. I can't tell you how many shows I have done where the bassist shows up and they sound like that. So then when you turn your pedal off, you can always turn the level down, output level, to balance it. But honestly, having this up way too loud just really clouds up the really just clouds up everything, and especially the low end. And when you're using bass overdrive, you still want that low end to mostly sound like, you want it to mostly sound like how it does clean. You can hear here, it really just adds some more top end, which is what you want. Even then, that's a little bit much for my taste. And then over here, we have a distortion pedal, which I need to find a guitar pick for. I like to use a blue Tortex 1mm pick. So the point of this orange distortion pedal, you'll notice this is not a bass pedal, which is intentional. I use this solely to make my instrument sound like a guitar. And what I will also do in addition to that is I usually turn the mid pickup, the P bass pickup, down most of the way. I turn the bridge pickup, the J pickup, all the way up, and I turn the tone most of the way up too. And that really is good for doing like power chords and stuff. If I unmute the pedal, there we go. That's the orange pedal. Now we can go back into the synth pedal. I'm going to turn these back to kind of how they were. There's a switch on it for guitar bass. Now most pedals that have like a bass version and a regular guitar version, usually the only difference is the bass version supports lower end frequencies. So most guitar pedals will, when you turn them on, they'll cut everything off that's like under 80 or 100 hertz. Whereas bass pedals, obviously you don't want that because you want the low end because it is bass. So that's kind of what this does. You can hear you lose the low end. A synth pedal, this has a lot of different settings. So this is set to synth bass. Try some different settings. So on this pedal you got pads, bass, strings, that is organ, bell, and then sound effects, you got some different variations there, sequence, a couple of variations, and then a bunch of lead options. And then within each of those options you have a setting 1 through 10, no, 1 through 11 actually. It's probably really hard to see on camera, but there's 11 different variations. I'm not going to go through each of these, but we can try. See, this is pad number 1. And there's options here for the center knob. Here is the effect. The outer one is the direct sound. On this one, you got tone/rate on the inside and depth on the outside. So if we turn the depth up, you can hear it's a lot brighter. It's got more of that synthy texture. I'll turn that down. It's a lot thinner here. It's more closer to a sine wave, whereas this is more closer to a square wave. Now, tone/rate. That really affects the square versus sine wave effect on this one. Now let's try lead number 6. sounds a little more like classic synth strings. So let's try some strings. So that's really bright because I got this turned up all the way. This one's also good to use a pick on. We can try a different string variation. Let's try number 11. That's got 2 different pitches going on. Minor third. So the depth knob allows you to change that second pitch. So that's a tritone now. Perfect fifth. Play some power chords with that. So this synth pedal also has a send and return, just like a noise suppressor. So the sends are going to the overdrive and the distortion, and then returning. So it's able to play those two, the synth sound and your distortion sounds, in parallel. So you get both sounds at once, instead of them just like overlapping, where if you had them in series, it would make the synth sound, and then the distortion would also distort your normal bass plus synth sound, and that's all you'd get. Now let's try organ sounds. That sounds like a church or jazz organ. That's a church organ. That's really bright, so I'm gonna turn some of these down. The articulation is the brightest there. Actually, if I try it finger style. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Try bell sounds. So like synth bells. Let's try variation number 5. And we can try 3. What is this? Sound effects. That's got like a delay effect built into it. So for these, you'd probably want to turn your direct off and just make the sound effects. All right, let's try sequence. So that's like an arpeggiator. C. So the tone knob adjusts the tempo. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, obviously there's so many different combinations of effects you can do with that synth pedal. I have definitely not tapped into anywhere near all the different things you can get out of that. And that brings us to the Boss Loop Station, the RC5. Let's give that a try. Right off the bat, you got a tempo control. You can tap. That switch enables the drum set sound. So when you play the pedal, it has like a drum set sound. I'm going to add a guitar effect. Let me try that again. So if you press and hold it, it erases whatever you have there. And when it's blank, it's dark blue like that. So let's start over again. I definitely messed up in there, but so we can play it back. And now we can add a bass line to it. So I'm going to turn these back to turn that off, because we definitely don't want that for bass. If you double tap it, it'll let you record. And then stop it, and then you can start it. That was definitely a really shitty example of what you could possibly do with this, but it gets the point across as to what you can do. I definitely, once again, just like the synth pedal, I have a lot more stuff to figure out on what to do with this. These A and Bs, you can switch between a different one and a new one. So I didn't save the 7 one, so it got overwritten. But if I go back to one that I have saved, see, that's what it's supposed to sound like. And then while that's playing, I can cue up one of the other ones. See, that's number 5. Goes to A up here. So yeah, and then I can solo over that or sing over it or whatever I want to do. So yeah, this is the All Boss bass pedal board. Not cheap. Definitely not cheap. So I definitely use this at gigs, and I do the dual guitar thing. So all in all, this whole thing cost me roughly $1,500. Maybe a little bit less than that, because I did get this Boss pedal for free from a friend. Now these only sell for like 50 bucks if we add that into the cost. So that was like 50 bucks. This foot pedal was 80 bucks. And the thing I don't like about this is there is no DC power adapter. It only takes 9 volt. So I had to use a 9 volt to DC power adapter and just have the cord, like you can't see it because I don't want to pull it out, but the cord is just kind of hanging out of the battery compartment. That's kind of trashy for an $80 unit. You know, they should really just have a 9 volt jack on there. Like, what the heck, Boss? All your normal guitar pedals have 9 volt jacks on them. In fact, some of them have inputs and outputs. The loop pedal, that was like 300 bucks. Boss Overdrive, that was like 200 to 250 bucks. Synth pedal, that was easily 250 bucks. The Chromatic tuner, I want to say that's 100 bucks. Same with the noise suppressor. Bass compression was like 200 bucks, and not only was it 200 bucks, but I like waited a year to get it. I'm not kidding. Like, Sweetwater had it back ordered forever. So it literally took like a year to get that. And the Pedaltrain, I'm using a Pedaltrain board, and that was probably like a 80 or 100 bucks. It comes with the case. It's very convenient. That was definitely worth the money. But yeah, that is the Boss pedal board setup. Once again, I'm Ryan with Studio 801, Ryan Harrison. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and definitely subscribe for more content like this.